I was born in Ghor, Afghanistan, in a small village where girls, especially Hazara girls, were told to stay silent. School was not for us, dreams were not for us. When I was 6 years old, my parents told me to take the sheep to the mountain every morning and come back by lunchtime. When I was alone on the mountain with animals, I often saw the boys from our village walking from and to school. I remember watching them and thinking I will never be able to experience that world. I wondered what they did there, what they learned, what it felt like to sit in a classroom. The first truth I learned was simple. Wanting an education could be dangerous for a girl like me. But the second truth came from my father. He told, we will live, you will learn. That was the first act of kindness, changed my life. We arrived in Iran with no documents, no safety, no plan. My grandparents were waiting for us there. My grandfather gave us a few things: a carpet, one cooking pot, and some cutlery. That was everything we owned. We moved into a small rented apartment. My mother bought a used electric sewing machine, big, heavy, second-hand. She placed it next to the wall and began tablecloths. 200 every day. My sibling and I helped her, folding, packing, stacking. Stitches became food. Fabric became survival. Her hands became our home. But that home, I met a new enemy: language. People laughed at our dairy, they mocked our accent, and some shops even refused to sell to food Afghans. Slowly, I started to believe something is wrong with me. I felt ashamed using my own language. And I learned something important. You can lose your country, but if you lose your voice, you lose yourself. In 2015, we tried to cross the border to Turkey. You probably accept me to say it was scary. It was worse. We were caught, we were pushed back, and in the chaos of that night, my 8-year-old brother disappeared. Today, I know more than 117 million people are forcibly displaced. But that night, the number was not 117 million. It was just one missing boy. Imagine calling his name into the darkness and hearing nothing. Imagine holding your mother as her whole world slid out of her hands. Imagine listening to her cry through the night while the rest of sat in silence, afraid to breathe, because breathing felt like hope, and we had very little of it. For months, we didn't know if he was alive, and yet something kept us moving. Not strength, not bravery, but the small, quiet hope that someone, somewhere, would show him kindness, and someone did. 6 months later, we found him. He was alive in Sweden. Traumatized, but alive. A kindness from a stranger that I will never be able to repay. When Sweden accepted us 4 years later, we finally got reunited to my brother. I couldn't have been happier. We found peace. I imagined the things would finally get easy. But peace doesn't erase the past. It only gives you a chance to rebuild. We arrived in Sweden with no Swedish, no network, no understanding of the system. I started my first job 1 month after landing, delivering flyers. People think it is a simple job, but imagine walking through winter street, pushing a heavy trolley full of papers, unable to read the signs, unable to ask for direction, staring at the street names that look like puzzle. Every wrong turn felt like failing again. At night, my family sat on the floor helping me fold papers. We looked like a small factory, but it was actually something bigger. It was the first time I felt we are building a new life together. Then COVID came. No job, no social space, isolation again. But this time, something different happened. People show up for me. At the Swedish church, Sophie, a priest, who opened the language cafe. Jan, who volunteered, was always helping me with my homework, and even he'll help me to get my driving license. There were also retired people at the cafe. They were kind, they listened, they taught me what fika meant. They let me speak Swedish slowly without laughing at me. That's when the theme of my life changed. It stopped being about borders. It started being about kindness. The first time I could speak even a little Swedish, I wanted to pass the kindness forward. I became a bridge builder at Swedish church. I helped newly arrived women find their voice, the same voice I fought so hard to keep. When I volunteered for one full year at UNHCR, working with children, helping them learning their mother tongue, Dari, so they could be proud of where they come from while learning Swedish. I still remember when one mother picked up her child, took my hand and said, "Thank you so much. It is good that you are here. You help our children to be proud of our language and learn Swedish better." That moment stayed with me. For 6 years, I worked, studied, translated for my family, passed exams, rebuilt my education from zero, secondary school, high school. And every time when I passed a course, I felt like I was breaking a wall that had been built around Hazara girls for generations. Today, I'm studying to become a radiology nurse at Lund University. I work with radiation therapy, treating cancer patients with precision, compassion, and science. During my 3 internships at hospital in Helsingborg, something became very clear to me. I saw how early diagnosis saved lives. One can change an entire family's future. Every time I now stand in a treatment room and adjust machine that can save a life, I think about that little girl I once was in Gore, who was told she could never go to school. I wish she could see me now. People often ask me, how do you survive everything you and your family went through? They accept me to say it is strength, or courage, or hard work. But the truth is simple. Everything brought me here. Every border, every loss, every fear was met somewhere by kindness. A father who believed in education, a mother who turned fabric to survival, a stranger to protect my brother, a Swedish church that believed in my voice, a community that allowed me to give back. I survived because the world is kinder than we think. Not always, not everywhere, but enough. Enough to carry Hazara girls across continents, enough to give a refugee family a new beginning, enough to turn fear into education and education into future. Hazara women are strong. Refugee women are unbreakable. And kindness. Kindness is more powerful than any border on earth. Thank you.